Hello, sir, and welcome in Romania. How is the market in Romania compared to other markets for Taxify?
I think as we operate in 30 markets, then of course Europe is where Taxify and Bolt now was born, and so all European markets are important. If we consider the size, then Romania definitely is big European market, and it's very important for us. So that's why we consider it very, very important, and we have one of the biggest offices in Europe is also here in Bucharest. So yeah, we take this market very seriously.
And which country can Romania compare with for Taxify, and why?
As it's one of the Eastern European markets, then we can see that it's somewhat similar to the neighboring markets, also Poland and Czech Republic and so on. So it's the passenger behavior, number of or the prices of the rides, and the overall economic situation is somewhat similar. So yeah, it's just quite big market and big opportunity to grow here.
You have been operating for some time in Romania, and I think you have become familiar with the Romanian system. Do you have bureaucracy problems?
Not directly. Of course, we are talking to different authorities and then city municipalities, and then trying to explain how the Bolt business model works, and we try to also bring examples from other markets. So we don't see that big general bureaucracy, but it's overall question of the vision, how the transportation market should evolve. And we believe that people could use less of the private cars, more on-demand transport like Bolt. So yeah, in that sense, we're very open for the opportunity.
Taxis in Romania? Is it difficult to do business in Romania?
Us as a company, we have been always flexible and working with all the drivers that want to offer transportation service on our platform. So yeah, if we work with private drivers and also taxi drivers if they want to join. So yeah, it's we believe that we try to make the city transportation more efficient and affordable, and keep the good quality level for the passengers. So if every driver that is willing to work on these standards are happy to join us.
What do you think Romania should do to have more investment?
Foreign investment side, I think you have very good talent pool for technical talent as well, and that is why also Taxify has established the first engineering hub out of Estonia. Is now in Bucharest. So we currently have 60 people, and we plan to double it this year. So for us, it's an important place, and we are happy to work with Romanian developers who seem to be high level and good quality. So we yeah.
You said we intend to double it. Will you recruit new employees?
Yes.
In Romania this year?
Yes. We are happy to hire 30 to 60 developers as far as we find good talent.
Let's talk about Taxify. What are the company's results in Romania for last year as profit, business, and what targets are set for this year?
We are growing, but we don't disclose specific ride numbers as the industry is competitive. We can say that we have hundreds of thousands of passengers using the service, and we have thousands of drivers, and that number is growing. So that clearly shows that passengers and both drivers, they like the platform, and passengers also. So I would say that people have recognized us well, and we are growing. So it seems we have a good value proposition, and we hope to keep growing here.
You entered Bucharest, Cluj, and Timisoara.
Yeah.
Which are the following cities in Romania where you will enter, and when?
We are in discussions with many city governments to introduce the Bolt business model, and of course we are open to go to next cities, but it's currently dependent also on the national level transportation law. So what will be the results and when the new law will be adopted, then based on that we can decide when we can actually open.
Give me some examples of cities which are currently discussing.
We are researching all the cities that have more than 50 to 80,000 people. That is the potential where we can, or where we usually open our service. So, but as I'm saying, it's still dependent on the transportation law, how that comes out. So there is no point of comment before we are clear on the regulation part.
Will you also reach smaller cities?
Yes, as I'm saying, in different markets, we look for all cities that have more than 50,000 people. So,
So this is the limit.
usually, if we see some good city, also smaller at later stage. Of course, our goal is to cover all the cities in Europe in longer term, but we start from bigger ones and then move to smaller ones. So based on the priorities.
In October, you entered the carrier market in Bucharest through Taxify Delivery. What are the first results? In which other cities in Romania will you launch this service and when?
Actually, Bucharest was the first city where we launched the pilot, and the results are we are growing in that space, but again, it's also dependent on the overall transportation law. So we don't have plans to expand it before the situation is clear how we can operate here.
In autumn, you launched the electric scooter rental in Paris. Will you go to Romania with this service, especially since Lime, having a partnership with Uber, has already launched the preparing for to enter Romania? Scooter is very interesting new segment that we are elaborating. We are also analyzing different opportunities in different cities, looking at the regulation where it's allowed or where it's not allowed. Some cities prohibit also electric scooters. But what we can comment on European level is we will expand to Madrid and Lisbon, but we don't disclose any other cities when we are finally clear with the regulation and also prepared to launch. So we are definitely looking for Romanian market, but we can't disclose any dates for launch yet. So that's the current situation. Your rival Uber operates in Romania also with Uber Eats. You recently announced that you are preparing to expand in the food delivery market and utilize your existing networks of drivers to do so quickly in Estonia, Finland, South Africa have been picked for the first markets where Taxify, Bolt, will roll out the new service in the next few months. Will you enter in Romania too with this new service?
Probably yes, in longer term, but at first we run the pilot, we see how the technology platform will work out. Of course, we need to work on the business model, and if the pilot markets are working well, then step by step we're starting to expand. So yes, as Romania is big market, then eventually we also come here with a food product, and yeah.
What are the development and enlargement plans are you preparing for Romania?
I think currently it's working to get the regulation in place, and then when let's say the rules are clear, then we can do bigger investment plans. As I said earlier, this year we focus a lot also on hiring and expanding our engineering office. We are doing very interesting projects here, working with data analysts, works on mapping algorithms, and also scooter product development and food delivery. Those services are also developed here in Bucharest. So we invite people who want to build new global solutions to look at also or Bolt's career page and then consider joining us. So we have many different and interesting roles.
We are at a time when taxi drivers in Romania, especially those in Bucharest, are strongly protesting against you and Uber. The latest protest of this kind being on this week. The government has even drafted an act to be enforced as a matter of urgency and to which lawyers believe
it can stop Taxify and Uber platforms. You recently submitted a joint letter with Uber requesting the Romanian government not to change the legislation of ride-sharing services for the time being. But the lawmaking process goes further. The Senate has just adopted a law introducing strict authorization criteria for drivers and cars, including the obligation to be paid an annual fee, both by the platform and by the drivers. Moreover, the government's latest official announcement is that this act will be adopted in the coming days, in a meeting next week. What is your strategy now?
I mean, here in Cluj, we just received the European level award for startup, and when we now see the context, what's happening in Romania, then we are sad seeing that kind of developments. We still believe that that all the regulatory or regulations should be considered from the point of the passenger, so that because the current taxi regulations have been developed many years back, and we believe that if we look, there are 2 million passengers using on-demand transport platforms in Romania, then passengers are really interested using the service, and there are also thousands and thousands of drivers using it. So I'm hopeful that we should find a compromise. We have been talking to authorities and then government and parliament officials for many months, even from last year, and explaining our business model. So I would be really sad if the service would be shut down, because the biggest losers would be actually passengers. And yeah, we are doing everything possible to explain why this service is interesting, why it's useful, and we see that the quality is good and it's competitive, and we actually invite taxi drivers to compete also on the service level, not on the regulatory level. So yeah, we hope we find a good compromise, and then all the different providers can keep operating on the market.
Will you maybe request a direct meeting with the parliament or the government?
Yeah, we are constantly in contact with different parliament members, and also here we met the telecommunications minister. We discussed the opportunities. So yeah, we hope that Romanian policymakers would understand that opening up the market and modernizing transportation law and just regulating the service that is already operational and people are happy with it, that would become reality. So,
at the same time, taxi drivers' displeasure is on the rise, and it is possible that the new rules will not please them. There have been reports of Uber or Taxify drivers being stopped in traffic and attacked. How do you see this phenomenon now and in the future?
I'm very sad that such conflicts have happened, but again, I want to emphasize that most important is to look any regulation that any industry should be point of view from the passenger. What is needed to provide a good quality service for the passengers? And I believe that the platforms like Bolt have a very good quality level. We do driver background checks, and we have rating systems, and we have electronic payments, which make the whole industry transparent, and the quality is on good level. So we are working hard to improve the service quality. So I hope policymakers would understand that and actually see that people need that kind of service. And also, if we set too complicated regulatory rules, the drivers also cannot use the platform, because there are many people in Romania and all the markets where they have free time and they would like to offer services with their own cars or just to make extra income. And I think it's a valuable opportunity on the market. So this is what we stand for, and this is what we also discussed here with European policymakers. So I hope that in the end, passenger interest would win, not the taxi company owners would win.
The taxi drivers argued that they only want Taxify and Uber drivers to be licensed and accused them of refusing authorization so they cannot pay a tax. Being charged, Taxify and Uber drivers would be forced to increase the price of the race. Do you consider that the cost of licensing is too high in Romania?
I'm not so aware of specific costs currently, but I can share the Estonian example where where the regulation is easy and we also, I want to emphasize that we support regulation, but a reasonable one. So we believe that driver background checks should be done so that there wouldn't be criminals driving other people. And on the other side, that the driving license would be there, so no drunk driving, no serious traffic violence or traffic penalties have been done by that driver. So if these two base things are in place, we believe that the driver is suitable of also driving other passengers. So and the rest of tax declarations or all of that, we're happy to cooperate with relevant authorities, and we have good examples from Estonia where Bolt, Uber and Airbnb have actually integrated their systems with tax authorities, and that means that service providers or drivers can declare their income with just one click. It's very easy, and we see that every year the numbers of drivers doing these tax declarations voluntarily is growing, and the Estonian tax authorities are happy with that kind of outcome. So we can share these kind of international experience and find a good compromise here. So I think that's what is our goal when talking to different policymakers.
So you don't exclude from the start the license? You are willing to?
Yes, of course. For us, as I'm saying, reasonable regulation is needed. If we operate in a gray area, that's not good for anyone. So we definitely work to get reasonable regulation, but we also believe that over-regulation is not helping anyone, and it's not also helping the service, because I think we have proven already that the service is good quality.
The situation shows that it goes to this decision, that a license will be mandatory by law. Will you maybe cover the cost of licensing, at least for some drivers? Because for these drivers with lower incomes, as most claim the high cost, and some of them have more jobs to cover their financial problems.
I think, I believe that the licensing should be reasonable pricing. In Estonia, to get the license, it costs about 30-40 euros, and you can apply it online and you get it within 7 days. So that's the model we have, and I think these kind of licensing prices are reasonable. So we don't support very high cost licenses.
Do you think that taxi drivers will eventually accept ride-sharing competition, of course, on legal and fiscal basis?
I hope they would, because overall we are actually not competing with taxis. What we are competing is actually private car ownership. So we believe that by providing reliable, affordable and safe transportation methods, people would prefer using on-demand transport, and the market is actually growing, and they would use less of the private cars, because if everyone's driving to the city center in the morning and they need to park the cars, we see that that's a challenge. Cities are full of parking spots and there is never enough. So if people would use more on-demand transport, we get less cars in city centers, and in the end everyone would win. And also, if you look at drivers or passengers' point of view, if you spend time commuting to the work and you are driving, that's not very efficient time. When you take on-demand transport, you could already work while driving to the office. And we are working on pooling solution as well, so we can put multiple passengers in the same car. So it again would reduce the number of cars. So this is how we actually see the future, and it will benefit everyone, the cities, the passengers and the drivers who can make extra income. So we are very hopeful and opportunistic that the whole Europe would understand that benefits, and they would adopt reasonable laws to support it.
Are there differences, different attitude between countries? So how do you see the Romanian taxi drivers compared with those in other markets where Taxify operates?
We don't comment that much, but I think that they are probably similar to other markets. So it's, yeah.
At the same time, there are customers' complaints to Taxify and Uber drivers because they would undo unnecessary and very often the already accepted orders. It also accused that the drivers are tired, inexperienced, and unsure at driving. How do you intend to counter these cancellations of orders and these problems that affect the company's image in terms of seriousness?
Yeah, we have set different quality standards for drivers. So yeah, at first we definitely work very hard on the quality, and that also the cancellation side. Driver actually can cancel only one ride out of 4, and if they cancel more, their account actually gets blocked. So this is one of the measures to actually. Our saying is, if the driver wants to work, then they can come online. If they don't want to work, they can switch off the app and take a break. So that's one of the measures. But overall, quality is really important for us, and then we take all these reports or customer complaints very seriously. We talk to the drivers, and sometimes we also invite these drivers to second-time training, where we explain the quality and how what we expect from drivers. But if we see that some drivers repeatedly are not following the reasonable standards, then we have to stop cooperation with them.
And how do you ensure that Taxify drivers are not criminals? You said earlier, will you enforce a psychological test?
So it's the same as in all markets. We do driver background checks. We look at their criminal records so that their history is clean, and also their driving license and that history. So there is no big traffic violations. And then we believe that then the driver is good enough to order or offer the transport services.
Imagine that you are now in front of the Prime Minister of Romania. What do you say? What is your message?
Our message is that transportation and technology are now evolving very fast, and the platforms like Bolt and Uber have proven that they provide a good service. Passengers like it, drivers like it, so it's time to modernize the transportation law and make it official, so that we can operate in reasonable regulatory environment. And if needed, we can share many experiences from different markets where it has been working very well. So I hope Romania adopts the same principles what have been working in other markets.
And imagine that you are now in front of a large group of Romanian taxi drivers. What do you say?
I would invite them to compete on the service level, so that provide a good service. This is open market, everyone can compete, and passenger would choose which is the best taxi company or which is the best platform, and let's focus our attention on the service quality and not regulation, because we believe that base regulation should be there, all drivers should be checked, and if they pass the check, then they can compete openly on the market. And of course, tax payments is also important part, and we train all our drivers and explain them that paying taxes is normal, because you need streets, you need healthcare, you need teachers, so and that's how government gets money. So this is our principle. So, and yeah, we believe that having an open competition, and we also invite the drivers to work on our platform. So we are not going against them, but we are looking for ways to cooperate.
Thank you very much.